Hey people, this is Louis Guzman, and you are watching the whole podcast.
Welcome to the Hole. I am Rob Sprance.
I'm Laura Levine.
And we are joined by Louise Guzman. Louise, thank you so much for joining. Do you prefer Louis or Louise?
Each one depends what part of the neighborhood I'm in.
All right. Makes sense. All right. Well, we'll keep you Louise for now, and by the end, hopefully, you'll be a Louis. How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm really excited that you're joining us. I tell you, I've been a fan of yours for such a long time, but in looking at everything that you're in, you've been over 150 films, television shows, that if we spent 1 minute talking about each thing you were in, it would be a 2.5 hour show.
Yeah, actually, it will probably end up being a 5 season episodic.
Yeah, maybe we could do it like that. But, there's so much to your story that I love. I know that right now you're in New York, and I know for a long time you were in the Lower East Side, but you were born in Puerto Rico, correct? Yeah,
I was born in Calle, Puerto Rico. My parents back in the day, it's the old country, so my parents were pretty young, 16 and 17 when I was born, and they kind of eloped to New York City. Mm-hmm. And I started out in the South Bronx, ended up in Chelsea, from Chelsea to Greenwich Village to the Lower East Side. And then, about 25 years ago, I made a permanent move. Then I moved to Vermont.
Yeah, so that's something I'm quite interested in because that's a whole different world from New York because we're New Yorkers. Going from the Lower East Side to Vermont is probably just as jarring as going from Puerto Rico to America, almost.
Yeah, well, I used to hang out in Vermont when I was a teenager. Mm-hmm. And we adopted 4 children of our own. And so we didn't see ourselves raising these kids in a 2-bedroom apartment. So considering I had a bit of a history in Vermont, we decided and we made a move. And we ended up raising this family in Vermont. And I had to learn a lot. Mm-hmm. First thing I had to learn, how to make a fire in case the electricity goes out and you got to stay warm. And I got to tell you, I think I went through 3 months of smoke inhalation, but I got it,
Yeah, yeah, because it does get a lot of snow over there, too. There's a big difference right there. Now, you have a lot
and you're in, northeastern Vermont, super rural area.
Yeah, well, we live in a place called Cabot, Vermont, and we live in the woods. So I was speaking to my daughter last night, and she was telling me, "Pa, there's a bear scratching at the door."
Ooh!
And she opened, and she literally opened the door, and there's a bear right in front of her, and she closes the door. She goes upstairs, she gets her rifle, goes to the balcony or to the porch, and lets off a round up in the sky. But we don't shoot bears.
Right.
I train my daughter. A bear shows up, or a bobcat, or some mountain lion, you know what to do. So.
Did the bear leave when she shot it up in the air?
Oh, it had left already because she opened the door to confront the bear. The dog ran out. The bear took off. The dog chased the bear. The dog came back 30 seconds later, and that was the end of that.
Oh my God!
It's so crazy. So so you have bobcats too show up?
But we got bobcats that show up. You know what I had last year? I had a snapping turtle show up to my door. I'm like, what? Yeah, man. I kind of picked it up and put it back out by the pond.
That's good. See, that's cool though, because you you enjoy the fact that there's wildlife around. I would like that too. Like, I'm on Long Island, so the worst I get is a possum or a raccoon. Like, I don't get any bears, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, you know, I'll tell you what, every September, no lie, every September for about 2 weeks, the skunk that stalks me.
It's the same one?
Yeah, it must be the same one, but it's gone on for like the last 3 years in a row. It usually shows up right after dinner around 7 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And the way I know it's because you can smell them. And the dog goes crazy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Maybe he wants an autograph. You never know. Maybe he's a fan.
Well, I'm a great cook, and my daughter's a great cook, so I bet you that has a lot to do.
That could be it.
He smells it.
Yeah.
He's coming for the roast con pollo, probably.
Yeah, you know, up there, we do maple syrup. We got maple trees.
Nice.
And we also have honeybees. So we do our own honey.
Oh, wow.
Very cool. So
yeah, man.
So I wanted to kind of get into, firstly, how you got started, because you know, there are so many great roles, and we'll get to those. But when you first, you know, you're living in New York, what made you want to get into acting versus all the other things that you could do? Because obviously in New York you can pretty much choose anything.
Well, I was a social worker, working at a place called the Henry Street Settlement House on the Lower Side. And I was working with young people between 17 and 21-year-olds, and you know, I had done plays, you know, I had done theater, but those were more like out of favor to friends, you know, and I wasn't ever really pursuing becoming an actor. It's just something that happened as an accident, where one day I had a couple of young people that didn't show up to my program, so I went out into the street looking for them. And I ran into a friend I hadn't seen in a few years, and he was telling me that he was writing for a TV show, and they're coming to New York, and they're going to be looking for people. Gave me a phone number. I went in and auditioned. 3 weeks later, I found that I'm co-starring on the season premiere of Miami Vice.
Wow. That's a great way to get started.
I had no clue what I was doing. I really didn't. And all I wanted to get out of it, to tell you the truth, was enough money to buy me a used car so I can drive to Orchard Beach on the weekends and not have to take the train and the bus to get there.
Wow. So you weren't even you were thinking of that almost as a one-time gig at the time that it happened?
Yeah, I mean that's all I was thinking about it as, because I went back to work. You know, right after I did that show, I went back to work, and my friend that got me involved, his name is Miguel Piñero, he hooked me up with his agent. And next thing you know, I'm being sent out for all these auditions. And so it was a way for me to subsidize my salary as a social worker, because after back in those days, I was coming home with $715 every 2 weeks.
Wow.
So, you know, as an actor, you know, you make a little, and, you know, basically I was just building my foundation, but, you know, I was stereotyped into a lot of roles in the beginning. And, but, you know, I was, at the same time, I was learning a lot about the business. And little by little, the roles just kept coming. I'm doing this great movie called True Believer with Kirkwood Smith, Robert Downey Jr., and James Woods. And then from there, that bounced me into another movie called Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah. and you know, I think part of the reason why you have such a unique look as well, and you know, a unique way of speaking, there's something about when you deliver a line, sometimes it's just hysterically funny, and sometimes you're always straight-faced about it, but it can be funny, it could be serious, and
or it could be scary. He gets scary.
Right?
Thank you, Laurie. Well, you know what? I had a great because I didn't come with any acting experience or any training. So right after I got a few roles, I decided a friend of mine recommended me to his acting teacher. So I studied for 2 years, and I always would tell people, especially young people that want to get into acting, I said, I was like a dull knife that needs sharpening.
Yeah.
Because I had the tool, but it needed to be sharpened. And so, and I always wanted to be honest at what I did. And I don't know, man. It's just my whole persona, how I am, who I am. I love life. I love just how I deliver things. And throughout my career, I don't think I ever did the same role twice, because once I do something, I just totally forget about it.
Yep.
And when I move on to something else, to me, it's like getting a fresh new canvas. So I don't know what kind of strokes to put on it and stuff like that, but it's worked out pretty well for me.
Yeah, it sure has. How nervous are you for Miami Vice when you haven't had a second of experience, and all of a sudden you're on a TV show on set with cameras looking at you?
And I believe you were in a white suit, weren't you?
Was it after Labor Day?
No, I don't remember the suit. It feels like 400 years ago. So, but I tell you what, very, very first take. Okay, and mind you, when I got the show Miami Vice, when I got the part, I had no clue what Miami Vice was.
Yeah, wow.
Because I don't watch TV, and so when I got casted, I knew it came on Friday night, so I watched the show, and I go, "Oh my goodness, what did I get myself into here?" But my very first take, what does Louis Guzman do? I step into Don Johnson's light. Oh. He walked off set. He goes back to his trailer. The director comes to me and he goes, "Yeah, you stepped in his light." And I go, "What light?" And so the director goes, "You see this? You see how the light comes on and off you? That's a light. Don't step in his light." And I go, "Okay."
But so that walked off set?
That was my introduction.
But walking off set, it's a little dramatic. No, not for nothing.
Well, I remember we were shooting at the World Trade Center in the plaza, and I remember there was 300 screaming women there because he was like the flavor of the week, big time
back then. Yeah,
and I learned a lot from that. Again, it was my first experience. I kind of became a buddy with Don. I think a year later, he flew me down to Miami. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but he came out with an album called Heartbeat.
I do actually remember that.
Yeah, so we did a whole music video. It was like making a movie, because it wasn't one song. Like he did like the whole album.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And you stayed out of his light after that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I did.
So you the first role that most of us really got to know you, and again, this is just such a great role to have, in Carlito's Way, as Pachanga. I mean, you're his sidekick in the movie. How did that come about? Was it just one of the auditions you went on, and did you realize the level of what the role was going to be beforehand?
I did not realize the level of the role. I did know that it was Brian De Palma. I did know it was Martin Bregman producing it, and I didn't know it was Al Pacino, who I absolutely idolized from Serpico and Dog Day Afternoon.
Yep, Dog Day is a great movie.
And the crazy. Oh, okay. Do you hear that?
Yeah, a little bit. It's okay.
Okay, that's my. Turn it off. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Oh, that's probably my daughter calling me. Okay. Yeah, this is like real life.
We can pause it. No worries. It's not live.
Great. I'm doing our interview. Let me call you back. Okay. I'm gonna call you back. I love you. Bye bye. Okay, so that's the Louis Guzman life. No, so that was my buddy saying, yeah, you're confirmed for the Yankee Stadium on Thursday.
Oh, good.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm a Yankee fan. I hope nobody has a problem with that.
No, New Yorkers.
So you know what happened? It's interesting what happened about the audition for Carlito's Way. I believe, though, let me back up a little bit because I had done already this phenomenal movie called Q&A with Nick Nolte, Timothy Hutton on the side, Charles Dutton, and it was directed by Sidney Lumet, and it was written by the same guy that wrote Carlito's Way. Okay, so anyway, the night before the audition, two of my cousins came over to my house early Sunday morning, and they found this like leather jacket that it had zippers all on it. I mean, the leather jacket was the character. And they left it to me because they found it in the park bench, and so I wore it to the audition because the jacket looks so gangster. And mind you, I still have that jacket.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I can only fit one arm in it though. But I wore that to the audition. So I start saying my lines, and before I could even finish my line, Brian De Palma starts cracking.
Oh yeah, see,
and
there you go.
And I'm like, oh damn, man, I think I'm blowing it. What am I doing here? So I got through it. And Bonnie Timmerman, who's very famous casting director, you know, she gives me a wink as I walked out. So by the time I got home, this is the days that we had answering machines at home.
Okay.
You know? And I see the little light going on and off. And I press it, and it was Bonnie, and she said, "Kid, you got the part."
Wow. Just one audition, that's it.
One audition.
You didn't read with any of the actors? You just read for De Palma?
No, Brian De Palma was in the room, Martin Reichman, Bonnie Timmerman, and Al wasn't there. I met Al when we did the table reading. And I was like, you guys ever meet somebody and your hands go all cold and clammy?
Yep.
That was me.
Sure. You know. And you want to make sure you say the right things. You know, you don't want to upset the guy. It's almost like you want to, not that you didn't belong because you clearly did, but when it's your first big one like that, you what's the saying? Fake it till you make it. Like you just got to walk in there and just be like, hey, how are you? Yeah, no big deal, right?
Well, you know what, man? Like I said, it was my opportunity to work with someone who I idolized as a young kid. You know, watching, like I said, Serpico and Dog Day Afternoon. You know, I had seen Scarface, but you know, I really turned down to Pacino by watching those two earlier movies that he did. Yep. And then also working with Sean Penn, you know.
That's true.
I had known Sean Penn a little bit from before because he was good friends with Timothy Hutton. And so we hung out a little bit, you know. But like I say, I was thrilled. That was today. People walk around, hey, Pachanga, you know. So yeah, that's my name.
Did you call all your friends and say, we're taking a helicopter to Orchard Beach now?
No, but I told them the beach is now up on the roof.
Yeah. That's better.
Yeah. So how does your life change after this? Once this movie comes out, Carlito's Way was a huge hit. I saw it in the theater. I know so many people, my friends did, and it really did blow up, that movie. Like, how does your life change afterwards? We'll get it. The roles aside, just your day to day. Do you find like all of a sudden everybody's starting to recognize you everywhere you go? Is it weird when that starts happening to you?
Here's the funny thing. So when that movie came out, of course everybody's like gravitating to me. Yeah, nobody knows my name. I'm just Pachanga.
Pachanga. And you're the betrayer.
Yeah, I'm the Pachanga. And all I hear is, why you do that to Carlito? Why you do that to Carlito? And I be telling people, watch your back, man. Or I'm because it bees that way sometimes, like on the movie. But it was interesting because prior to Carlito's Way, when New York had real scene back then, and so anytime I tried to get into a club, they would always turn me down, or they tell me to get in line.
Really?
When Carlito's Way came in, it was like, Mr. Guzman, Pachanga, come on. It's like, So it gave me more accessibility. But, I was flattered by it. I was totally humbled by all that stuff. And mind you that I didn't know how I was supposed to react. I was always just thanking people for giving me the props and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But at that point, life started changing more and more because, again, everybody loves a good gangster movie. Mm-hmm. And being the guy that set me up pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, and just be you're with him in so many scenes too, and it's a great movie. And then I go to see this film, an indie film that comes out, well, indie, to a point, from Paul Thomas Anderson in Boogie Nights, which again this is a movie that I walked into not knowing what to expect. Not really knowing what it was going to be. It had just come out. I just see great reviews. I said, let's check this out. And if there's ever a movie, there are certain films that I've gone to see. I would count Boogie Nights as one. I would count Pulp Fiction as another. When the movie, you just don't want it to end. The experience is just so great. Like I hope this movie never ends. And I remember it was a crowded theater and I was towards the front and my neck was all bent and I didn't care. Boogie Nights to me was an experience, and it got me even more familiar with you and with Paul Thomas Anderson especially. What was it like working in it? First of all, it's your second kind of period piece, so you're getting to wear some cool clothes once again.
You're working with Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, working with Burt Reynolds, and what's that experience like?
Well, I gotta tell you a funny story. So, I had gotten a call from Paul, and I didn't know who he was. Somehow he got my number from somebody, and he said, "Listen, I wrote the script. I'd like for you to read it. Love for you to be in my movie." So great. So he sent me the script. I put it in my office. 6 months later, I'm cleaning my office, and I find it at the bottom of a pile.
Oh, no.
And I look at it, and I go, oh, wow, I never read that script. Let me sit down and read it. Man, I read that script. I could not put it down. I didn't put it down. I finished reading it from beginning to end. I called him up. I go, dude, the first thing I told him, dude, are they going to let you make this movie? Because it was so raw. It was so out there. It was like something like I've never, ever read in my life. And it was so freaking eloquent, it's to the point. It captured that era. I was blown away. So, we get into this whole conversation, and at one point, I go, how old are you? And so he mumbles something. I go, oh, 35. He goes, no, I'm 25.
Yep.
I go, wait, you're 25 years old? And you wrote the script? He goes, yeah.
Right.
And then it was really right then and there that I realized, man, I'm talking to a genius filmmaker here. Because number one, to be able to write something like that and just capture it, there was no flaws to it. It moved. The character, the arcs of the character were phenomenal. So, I show up, LA, and there's Mark Wahlberg, there's John C. Reilly, there's Nicole Parker, there's Don Cheadle, there's Alfred Molina,
William H. Macy.
Yeah, Heather Graham. I mean, we go on and
Heather
on.
Graham, Julianne Moore. There's all these cats, man.
And Phillip Seymour Hoffman. Jesus.
Phillip Seymour Hoffman, exactly.
Yeah.
And man, and of course, everybody was still up and coming,
Right.
Although, and then of course, the iconic Burt Reynolds, and like I said, it was just a great experience, we did the opening shot of that movie. Yep. When we introduce everybody and we go into the club and all that stuff.
It's like a single take, right?
Yeah, well, we started rehearsing that the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We rehearsed for a night and a half. And the second night, we get the first shot off to, I think, 2, 3 in the morning. All right? Mm-hmm. And I think we did maybe 6, 7 takes of it. That was it.
Wow. And that's and now I'm trying to remember, do you get the first line? You get one of the first because of the cowboy outfit that Don Cheadle's wearing. I think it's one of the first lines in the movie.
Well, Burt shows up with Julianne Moore, and I'm at the club and I greet them and go, Jack, it's Jackie, Jack.
That's right. Yeah.
And I don't know that could have been the first line in the movie. Now that you mention it, but yeah, I was there for all that.
That's fantastic. And it's funny you mentioned what a great script it was. So it's even more impressive for a 23-year-old not only to write the script, but to pull that off and make it is just as hard as writing it.
But here's what I want you to understand: he started writing this script when he was 16, 17 years old.
Wow. That's insane. It's insane.
Oh, yeah.
Because the depth in it, it's like dark, too. Like, there's so much to it. It's
crazy. But you know what? That's how the Valley was back in those. Like, he grew up in that environment, seeing all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And like I said, man, he captured it so well. He was amazing.
Mm-hmm. And he takes his time in a film. Like, he'll take his time. I know you're also in Magnolia, and I know you've worked with him multiple times after that. And there was just something about the way he takes his time. It works even more. Like, most of the films he does are 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and such. But like I mentioned with Boogie Nights, you did not want the movie to end. It was such a great feeling. You had mentioned that I've seen interviews with you where you've mentioned that Burt was the only one who really didn't do a promotion or talk about the film much. Like, that was just very strange to me. Did you ever get a reason as to why he really kind of kept it quiet?
I don't think initially Burt understood the magnitude of the art that he was doing. I think that Burt always felt that he was the icon. It's him and everything that revolved around him. but when it's a movie about the whole pornography industry.
Yeah.
So here you are taking a risk when you're this icon and you're working with this 25, 26-year-old kid who's directing this, and it's like, what did I get myself into? But, Burt did get nominated for an Academy Award for that movie.
He sure did.
Did
he? Did you sense any of that from him while you were filming it? That he just didn't know if he should be there or not? Did you see any uncertainty from him in his personality?
I know he would do battle with Paul. So sometimes, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. And, but to his credit, Paul stood his ground as a filmmaker, as the artist that he was. I don't know if this is true or not, but after Burt, I heard stuff like that. Burt had fired all his management and agent people for getting him into that movie. But later on, Burt wrote a book, and there's mention in the book, and he said, look, he kind of apologized, because again, he did not see the magnitude of that role, and that role really restarted his career again.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, you also got to work with Phillip Seymour Hoffman, the late Phillip Seymour Hoffman, who was also just incredibly talented, and we lost way too early. What was he like as a person? What was his personality like?
He was a really cool cat. Just really quiet, and always showed up to do his thing. Very unpredictable as far as a performer goes, which I think it's a beautiful asset to have. And he was just all in. He was just very committed, and I miss him. He's a very talented man.
Yeah, that was one that hurt because of the talent and how much we didn't get that we could have from him.
But I gotta say, because of someone like Paul's writing, not just myself or Burt or Phillip, but just about anybody that works with Paul and his writing and his projects, really evolve even more as an artist, because that's like you're privy to that material,
Yeah.
And I have to also mention that we did a movie, the movie I did with Adam Sandler, that Paul wrote.
Punch Drunk Love.
Punch Drunk Love.
Oh, another great one.
And I gotta tell you something, man. So, Adam Sandler committed to the role. When I watched Magnolia for the first time, I'm not kidding you, in the first 5 minutes, I forgot it was Adam Sandler. Because I got into watching that character that he did, and man, I felt for that guy. This guy got 7 sisters. He's going through all this stuff and everything. And again, another one of Paul's great masterpieces that he wrote, and I believe Adam was also nominated for that movie. And Tom Cruise got nominated for Magnolia.
Magnolia. One of the things with Punch Drunk Love too that I always enjoyed is it's the opposite of Paul's other films, and the fact that it's 90 minutes, it's very fast paced, the camera's just moving and moving and moving and moving, and like almost a complete opposite of what you get from something like Magnolia, which was like just a 3-hour epic film where again just takes his time. Like Punch Drunk Love was short, quick, to the point, but it had this tension about it. It's I could go on about Paul for forever, but then okay, so you're working with Paul Thomas Anderson, And then you start working with Steven Soderbergh.
Oh yeah.
And then you're in Traffic, and you're in Out of Sight, and another director that goes against the grain, but again, just super, super talented. What were the differences between the two? What did you notice between Steven and because Steven's a lot more indie in the way he does things?
Well, I think they're both very indie. They're very indie. I guess the difference is that Paul writes and directs his material, as where Steve is more like the director, cinematographer, and he operates the camera too. So in all respect, they're both genius in their own right for how they go about their craft. I know that when we did Traffic, like Don Cheadle and I, we never rehearsed. We never went over lines. We never discussed the scenes. We would just get into where it was that we were shooting, and Steve would set up the camera, and like, okay, let's just shoot. And we would shoot the stuff, and we were privy to improvise, and me working with Don Cheadle was phenomenal because, man, we had such a phenomenal chemistry. But I tell you, the only time I saw Steve get mad, because I never saw Steve get mad, he got mad one day. And you know what he was mad at?
What?
A freaking cloud that was blocking the sun that he wanted the light. That was it.
The light again.
The light! And there's another movie for Steve called The Limey, which Laurie, I know you've seen all these movies.
I have.
Okay, good. Working with Terrence Stamp, working with Peter Fonda, Leslie Ann Warren, Bill Duke. I was working with G's on that movie. And, that was truly, that was, of all the movies, I think that was the most indie movie. It was a phenomenal cast, phenomenal story. Steve shot it. He showed me a rough cut of the movie, and I said, wow. And then, I was working on a movie in New York. I had a 4-hour break. It opened that Friday that I was working, that Friday night, and I went around the corner to the movie theater, and I went into the theater and watched the movie, and it was nothing like the cut that he showed me. And it was like, holy, it just absolutely blew me away of how he edited the movie, how he edited the story, how he put it all together. I've been so blessed to work with people like Steve and Paul, and so many, and listen, Sidney Lumet. I did 3 movies. Yeah. I did 3 movies for Sidney Lumet. And he was phenomenal to work with. So,
what's a performance of yours that you wish more people had seen, that you were very proud of, but maybe just didn't get the attention that some of the other films got?
I think, wow, that's a tough question. I would have to say it could have been The Limey, which more because that also wow. I think it was just The Limey. I mean, I did do a movie a few years ago, a comedy that a friend of ours gave us some money, and we shot this little indie movie in 16 days, and it was a comedy, and it was called Portuguese in Paris.
That sounds funny.
And I thought that was a great comedic movie. We shot that in Prague, Paris, and shot that in 16 days. it was a passion project, and I didn't get proper distribution of it, but I'm proud of it because it's become a real cult type of movie.
Mm-hmm.
And people always asking me, "Are you guys making a sequel to it?" So
I have to watch that one. That one I haven't seen.
oh no, you would love that movie. That movie was like a lot. It's like a fish out of water type of movie. Yeah.
Well, while we're on passion projects, I can't not go without bringing this up. I'm so impressed by the NIMBY experience, and this is a movie that you for 3 days went and became homeless and literally did exactly that in the streets of New York. Went through the whole process of being homeless. I'm just really curious as to that experience, and it must have been a horrible thing to go through.
Yeah. So I'm also very humanitarian based, social activist. I love doing the work for humanity. I love just helping out. Anytime I talk to young people, one of the things that I always say: never forget where you come from, because you might inspire, the next generation from your accomplishments. So, it's something that I created, and a couple of people got together, and the funds were raised to shoot it. I didn't prepare, and really, you don't prepare for a role like that. It's like as raw can be. And went out there, and I got to tell you, man, the toughest thing I ever done in my whole entire life. We shot it in March. Picked up at 3:00 in the morning to go to hair and makeup, and I walked out of that place somewhere between 5 and 6 in the morning, and I remember the first night I had to find somewhere in the street to sleep. And then the next night I ended up sleeping in the bar. It really worked on my psyche. I've always been guilty, like so many of us, that we see a homeless person, we don't want to make contact and stuff like that. I got more attention from people's dogs than anything else, growling at me, barking. And then you realize, you're the only person that can talk back to you.
Yeah.
And
so
that's hard.
You had no interaction with the crew, nothing like that.
I did have some interaction with the crew because I had a microphone on, so they would have to just to me and change the battery on it. But I think after the second day we didn't change it anymore because I just, you become delirious and stuff like that. I would see the crew. I knew there were certain things that I had to do. Like if I went down the street, I had to go with the traffic, not against the traffic, because also I had a production van that was following me around, and there were 4 camera guys around the clock for those 3 days. We had we had 3 different crews, and some of those guys will do like 60 hours in a row because they just got into it, and so again, it was something, and I'm sad to say, very sad to say, that it's something that I dedicated myself to, I committed myself to, never got this distribution. I had a copy of it, and I would go around doing fundraising for homeless shelters. I would show it to people, and I can't tell you how many people would cry. I mean, it affected people. It's probably, my son says it's my best work ever. So just to give you an update, I would like to, I'm trying to obtain it, because what I would love to do is re-edit it, some songs to it, um, and maybe do a little more footage. You know, revisit some of the places that I actually shot at. It was a mind blowing experience,
Yeah.
and so I'm only hoping that some way I can collaborate and. Cause look, I'm not interested in making any money off it or anything like that. I'm interested in sharing it with the world because so much in this country have changed because of the pandemic. There's so much more homeless people in this country now more than ever, and I just want to be a voice because we do have many voices, but I just want to be a voice, and I think the world deserves to see it. I'm not looking for any accolades for it. I'm just listen. If I can get a couple of my people that sing songs and write songs and give me a song or two, whatever proceeds we get from that, I would absolutely donate to shelters. And I want to go around the country and take it to film festivals, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because again, as an actor, I love the art of what I do, but I can also make a statement on behalf of humanity, and that's who I am.
Yeah.
Like I told you, man, I come from a place that I was a social worker. I adopted 4 kids. I always stood up for people. I continue to do that. I was creating an incredible experience by going homeless, and I don't know why anybody would want to not have me put that out there. So, and I have to say this because I don't really talk about it, but I thank you for bringing that up because, it's a real important part of life, and I just hope people come around and just understand, let's do this finally. Let's get it out there.
Yeah.
Wait, how do you react when you see homeless people now? What made you feel good when you were homeless, and was eye contact or?
Listen, first of all, if I do look at people now that are homeless, you gotta understand something. There's like a lot of mental issues that we deal with when we deal with homeless people. If I could get somebody something to eat, I do that. What I don't do is I don't put hands in the money of people because I don't want to enable people to go buy alcohol, buy drugs, because that's real. But I do acknowledge, and I look, and it's funny, when I went through that whole experience, and you move around the city and you look at something, you see like 2 pieces of cardboard. So you just automatically know, a homeless person slept there.
Yeah.
It's all these things that before you look around, you see 2 pieces of cardboard, you don't think nothing of it, but you see the markings of homeless person was here and there, and it's like. The whole myth that homeless people are alcoholics and drug addicts. No, man. There's like a lot of emotional stuff that happens, mental breakdowns. Some homeless people, took care of their parents, and their parents died, and their name is not on the lease, and they get kicked out of the street. There's so many factors, So, and listen, I mean. Jesus Christ, I went to Skid Row. I'll never forget Skid Row, Los Angeles. I couldn't believe it's like 10,000 homeless people in a black area.
Yep.
It's like, wait, what? This is America? No way. So, listen, I continue to do my best because that's hard, but I also just want to be able to educate people. And I remember my very first day, and I'm out there and I'm walking around and I carrying the pizza box, and I say, hey man, can I get that? And the guy just gave me the pizza box, It was the leftover pizza. It was 2.5 slices in there. To this day, the best pizza I've ever tasted in my life.
Wow.
You know.
You know.
Yeah.
I know you say you don't want accolades for it, and I understand that, but you should, especially for everything else that you do. And if nothing else, I would like to share so people, you can follow Louie. I'm going to call you Louie now. 'Cause now we're
Yeah.
You can follow Louie on Instagram, Louie from the Hood, and on Twitter, I am Luis Guzman, because you post a lot of things like that. Anytime, so rather than me direct you to 100 different places, I'm just going to direct you right to his social media, because he's always posting things how you can help and how you can get involved. And that was one of the things that impressed me about you. And I think that might be why you have your own statue from the show Community.
Yeah.
The Louise Guzman statue is there in all its glory, which I thought was a very cool episode where because you went to the school, so that was you were the biggest star that went there, so they made a statue just for you.
Well, it was so cool. Like the Russo brothers called me up. They said, "Yo, we want to we're doing the show. We want to make a statue of you." They told me what the circumstances was, and I was like, "Wow, this is the most flattering, humbling thing ever." You know. Right. And then the great thing is, one day I actually show up myself, and I'm standing and I'm looking at the statue, and I go, "Wow, wow." Yeah. But that's really cool, because that's a cool tribute. Not too many people could say that they had a statue done on them, and it lasted like 3 or 4 years or whatever amount of years on TV. You know, and I got paid for being this.
Really? Every time they show it, you get paid?
I get paid, baby.
Rob, pay him. You just showed it.
I just showed it.
Ching, ching. Yeah. But that was really cool. Like I said, I was really humored, and at the same time, I was totally honored by that. That was really cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. Once again, check out Luis, all of his different social media. Luis, it's an honor to talk to you. Thank you for all of the great work, and we're looking forward to it. Anything next that you want us to go see or to watch coming up?
Well, I just finished doing a show for Stars called Hightown.
Okay.
And it's on Stars, so I think that comes out in the fall. And my son and I, we have a production company called Dark Rabbit Productions, and we're gonna make a couple of our own little indie projects. So look out for that. And I just continue to be Louie and loving humanity and letting it love me back. Anything I could do to help.
Awesome. And did they ever call you for your Hamilton audition? I never saw you in Hamilton.
We love that clip.
Oh no, but you know what? That's okay. That's okay, because I'll be doing more stuff in the future, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Well, Louise, thank you again so very much. Thank you for listening to the
so
whole.
Much.
I am Rob Sprans.
I'm Lori Levine.
Later, motherfucks.